This episode is brought to you by Muntins Malts, a company that is passionate about providing premium malts to brewers worldwide. For over a century, Muntins has been a leading supplier of brewing and distilling malts, offering the finest British malted barley on the market. You can experience the difference Muntins offers by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club, because every kit that ships out now includes premium Muntins malt. You know, we've known the Muntins crew for a long time, and I can tell you, friend, you're going to love brewing with their grains. Ask your local supply shop to carry Muntins malts, or homebrewers can join our Trub Club at homebrewhappyhour.com/club, be a part of the community, and come brew with us. Thank you, Muntins, for supporting our efforts and homebrewers worldwide. Today's show is brought to you by Hopsdirect.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Peterball family farm, Hopsdirect.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is Hopsdirect.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to Hopsdirect.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's Hopsdirect.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
High acidity in a pressure fermented lager, draining beer lines after a cleaning, and selling your used homebrewing equipment. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 382. Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. And if you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com, click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or even better, you could call it in. Leave us a voicemail to 325-305-6107. And when I use your voicemail, preferably a question, but could be feedback, but preferably a question, on a future episode, you get yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. I'm one of your hosts, Joshua Stubing, joined as always by, hold on, where is it not going to be on the screen? Let me see. Oh, there we go. Okay. He's the director of operations at cmbecker.com over there, Mr. James Carlson, as well as the president and chief keg washer and floating head. Sorry. It's the president of kegconnection.com, Mr. Todd Burns. Gentlemen, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
No, I'm great. It would only have been funnier if it was my bald head floating, how yours was, like with the camera like roll low and then just coming up on screen. You managed to, you were so concerned about the image quality, you blurred the background and got some lighting, it looks like, in your hotel room.
Yep.
Look at you. Technology. Wow, you're on the ranch.
No, that's the one I was looking for right there.
Look, Todd's just at his ranch, not drinking a jug of poo-poo meds in a...
No, I'm at the ranch relaxing. Everything's great.
I'll give background. I'll avoid the awkwardness. I'll give background. Poor Todd. I guess when you get older, you have to do tests and stuff, and he has his... you have actually two. You're doing a twofer.
Endoscopy, colonoscopy. I just talked to one of our vendors, and he was like, "Oh, my wife did that yesterday on her birthday." I was like, "Oh, Too bad it's not my birthday.
On her birthday, that's the worst birthday present ever. Hey, stick a camera, both ends. Golly. And I've been saying it wrong my entire life. I thought it was endoscopy. And y'all are like, oh yeah, endoscopy. Oh, I always thought it was endoscopy.
It may be. I don't have any idea how to pronounce
tomato,
it.
Tomato. Oh, you have been so confidently saying endoscopy that I was like, have I been saying it wrong for 38 years?
Yeah, well, I'm also the supporter of the Trub Club. So
okay, good point. You're right. But that is how you say it. I don't understand the awkwardness. We do have a great show lined up, and I actually picked some questions that I'm glad, Todd, you were able to join us because I made a show that I thought we could get through, fill out the time, but not drag it on, because poor James, I hate when I do that to you and you're up there running headquarters by yourself. But so we'll get through this stuff. Let me get through the small talk real quick, and then we'll get to the questions. We got great voicemails, a great email that was sent to us as well. Great feedback too. But before we get to that, the May Trub Club, let me make sure I type the right one in. Boom! If you go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour, join at a recipe receiving level, you're going to get the Mosaic Smash IPA, a delicious smash. It is a clone of Yellow Rose Mosaic IPA. And you told me who brewed it last week, and I already forgot. I keep thinking Community, and it's not. It's Magnolia Brewing.
Magnolia. Yep.
Magnolia. And you could brew it yourself too. We haven't offered it to the Trub Club in a couple of years, going on 3 years, I think. So patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. And then when you are at that recipe receiving tier, you'll see the post that only you can see in those select tiers. You'll go comment how you want your grains, if you want them milled, double milled, or unmilled. And then I ship you the most premium recipe kits you can get, thanks to our sponsors, Munton's Malt, hopsdirect.com, and of course, Imperial Yeast. Also, let me see what I've got on the small talk. Oh, with that in mind, Brew Day Live coming up. It's tomorrow. If you're listening to this, oh, pardon me. No, it's not. It's a week from tomorrow. Friday. Yeah, I had to look at the date real quick. It is Friday, May 17th at 10 a.m. Central. My pop and I, live from the garage, are going to be brewing that Mosaic Smash IPA. Only available at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour, where hopefully you're watching this right now. If you're just an audio listener, come join us. Put it on the schedule for Friday, May 17th at 10 a.m. Central. It is this month's episode of Brew Day Live, where again, we are brewing that Mosaic Smash IPA. All these details can be found at patreon.com/homebrew happy hour, or of course, right here at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. Any platform we exist on, just / and add homebrew happy hour, and you'll find us. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can find us if you just do / homebrew happy hour. Anyway, that actually last thing too, it's to be very quick. The reminder for people who may have been interested in Kolsch Cup or the Alt Pokal, but you're like, Josh, you gave me like a 9-week head start. I really like conditioning my Kolsch for 12 or whatever. We are now doing Alt Pokal in October, mid to late October. I think the date's October 17th right now, but just so you know, it's always mid. So prepare your brewing accordingly. Mid-October to late October will be Alt Pokal. Mid-May to end May going forward will be the Kolsch Cup. So you now know every May, we're going to be doing Kolsch Cup. Every October, we're going to be doing Alt Pokal. Plan your brewing.
And then January is Todd's October. I mean, no way.
Wait.
Todd's IPA.
Todd's IPA Fest. IPA. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think. I was trying to do some alliteration in my head with it, but I can't think. I'm not that witty. You're right.
You and James get one. I should get one too. Or maybe I'll do a pale ale contest.
There you go, boss. You do it. I'll give you all my notes from running the contest, and you tell me how you want to do it. That you still got to do an episode with just the two of you as well. You said you specifically were going to produce it, so we still got to get that one going. But anyways, that is record time that I got through the small talk. Wow, it's a Christmas miracle. Let's all get us back to work. But before we get back to work, we have a great episode.
Y'all mind if I before y'all do that? Do you mind if I have lunch?
No, I don't. Can you mute your mic? I really don't want to hear eating noises.
No, I'm done.
Oh, the liquid. I get it. I forget. You're fasting. That's right. You're on broth. Was that broth or water?
Oh, just some water. That's my lunch.
Okay, that's hilarious and sad. Depressing to me as someone who enjoys food. Anyways, like I said, we do have a jam-packed episode, but before we get to the questions,
it's time for listener feedback.
We got a great listener feedback voicemail from our buddy Steven from Tacoma, Washington on how a modified malt can also be non-GMO. Here is Steven from Washington.
Hey there, this is Steven from Tacoma, Washington with some feedback on the March 14th episode where you guys were discussing malt modification and questioning what it means exactly. At one point, you guys were wondering how a well-modified malt could also be non-GMO. I know that sounds like a contradiction, but this is because the word modification in this context doesn't really have to do with GMO or bioengineering or genetics in general. Modification in the context of malted barley is the degree to which the gums, proteins, and other complex carbohydrates that are originally inside the barley to help it sprout and become a healthy plant are broken down and converted into less complex and more soluble proteins and starches during the malting process. Without this, the barley you would use would lack the type of starches you need to convert into sugars during the mash, and it would produce an unfermentable wort. A well-modified malt has a high percentage of its proteins, starches, amino acids, etc., broken down and made easily accessible, whereas an undermodified malt requires more work. This is why undermodified malts need to be step mashed or decocted in order to get good conversion, because these extra mash techniques actually help further modify the malt in real time. And this is why highly modified malts can be mashed with a single infusion, no problem. Now, this doesn't mean that malts are not GMO. I'm sure most of today's barley is GMO, but it's a big reason why our malt can be so highly modified by the maltster. Therefore, on the topic of mash duration, it does make sense that fully modified malts can be mashed for less than 60 minutes, especially as our grain quality and malting techniques continue to improve. Cheers, guys, and thank you.
What great feedback. See, our audience, super smart. I'm still going to conflate the things and be wrong and be like GMO or whatever, and because I'm stupid. But besides that was great feedback. You've mentioned similar, James, in regards to why step mashing, isn't, or decoction specifically, isn't always necessary when you're doing like a lager or the alt beer or whatever, because of today's modern malts that we're using. It's not necessary to achieve it. And like Steven just said too, under 60-minute mashing is made possible because of these well-modified malts. So it's all to say, stop me if you've heard this, it's the best time ever to be alive as a home brewer. We have the best malt. We have the best grains. We have the best. Okay. Thank you, boss. So Steven from Tacoma, thank you for leaving that. A reminder, when you call and leave feedback that's good like that, and I played on a future episode in a voicemail format, you get yourself a $25 gift card. Also, when you use our hotline, 325-305-6107 with a voicemail question, which we still desperately need, and I use it on a future episode, you get yourself a $25 gift card as well. Like our first question of the day, it's our buddy Bryce from Seattle.
Hey, Homebrew Happy Hour team. This is Bryce from Seattle. I've been listening for a few years, and you guys got me real interested in pressure fermenting in a corny keg. So I did that with the last batch I tried. It was an Oktoberfest fest beer that I found on the internet and modified slightly. So I used Y Yeast 2633. That's their Oktoberfest lager blend in this. And that has an ideal temperature range of 48 to 58 Fahrenheit. I pitched the yeast at 68 and fermented at 68 Fahrenheit under 15 PSI pressure for 30 days. And the beer turned out pretty good, but it did have some acetaldehyde flavor to it. And so just curious for your feedback on my process. Did I ferment too warm? When you're pressure fermenting, should you keep the temperature within the range that the yeast is happiest in? Or I was under the impression that you could actually ferment hotter. Or should I use a type of yeast that likes to be fermented warmer? So just curious for your feedback on that. And thanks for the show. Bye.
Great question. He said acetaldehyde, and when I was reading the transcript, I thought he was talking about acidity, the way it transcribed it. I got to change the whole title because it's talking about it's the green apple, all flavor. I can redo this. Listen, people who are listening to this now, I'm not going to edit this part out, but the beginning, the image will be different, and it'll be like, I'll just leave it. That's a lot of work. Anyways, though, it's not high acidity.
People are going to be listening, and I mean, they're going to be looking for that, searching for that, thinking they're going to get an answer, and they're going to get a totally different
no. I'll change the literal title for it on YouTube and all that. I'm saying I don't know if I'm going to go re-record my intro is what I meant. No. I will change the title. That's what I get for Google voice transcription has burned us before, and like it's so goofy. Anyway, though, James, I'm going to throw it to you first. One, you are probably who he's talking about that convinced him to do it. You became, you and I both only do it under pressure, but you are the logger guy, and you got bit by the bug, and I don't think you ever turned back. I don't think you've done.
Everything I do now is pressure fermentation, but I had the similar thing happened on a batch that I did, and I think Lorena was the one that identified its phenols, and it was in the fermentation process. So what I did, that was one time where I didn't pressure the fermenter after I pitched the yeast. So I think, and yes, you can ferment closed, like pressure ferment at room temperature. That's all I do, and I've had real good luck with it. Except that one time, and that was the only time I didn't pressure. I know Jonathan at Marut had spoken about you don't really need to do that, but I did have an issue where I had about the same kind of flaw in mine. And after talking with Lorena, she was like, "You probably wouldn't be a bad idea to go ahead and pressurize the fermenter before the yeast start going, because then that will keep any of the off flavors at bay that could be created until there's enough yeast activity to pressurize the fermenter and get the splending valve going, if that makes any sense." But
it does. And Trong on an episode, he said the same thing that you're saying, where like Lorena told you, where he is a fan of getting it up to the pressure right when you pitch. Like you pitch, you put the gas on it, you put your spunding valve on it, get it down to 15, and then boom, you're good. And now, and I say 15. I've been doing 10. Jonathan Marut's a big fan of 10. Tron's a big fan of 15. I think 10 to 15 is the sweet spot for most people.
Yeah, I do it 10, but that next batch I did, I went ahead and put, because I always keep a CO2 cylinder, and I put a disconnect on the splending valve and got it up to 10 psi, and took it off. Of course, you don't need to leave it connected. And not only did it ferment clean, but that was the very first time I did full natural carbonation. I didn't boost it with any CO2 bottle or any of that. I just I overhopped it, of course, but it turned out fairly decent.
I don't think you overhopped it.
Not as good as Todd Pillsbury, but it was drinkable.
Yeah, Todd, why'd you have to make that batch, man? Like James was back. He felt like he had the yips. He was in a slump. He brews a good lager, and then you come out the gate with the freaking Warsteiner.
Best beer he's ever brewed.
Yeah, right. No
kid.
What a jerk he
says that. He says that.
Dude.
It's a style that you really like, though. It depends on the style you like, too, right?
It was still awesome.
Incredible. I'll just say it is in your top 5 for me. I mean, off the top of my head, that ESB y'all did on the Cooler Brew is still in my mind in top 3 of your best beers that y'all have done, because but again, it's been so long, I might be romanticizing it. The fish might be this big now. So fermenting, do you think, James, fermenting in the keg, I'm trying to go through again this garbage Google voice transcription, but he didn't mention if he goes from fermenting in a keg to then a serving keg. He just mentioned that he ferments in a keg. Do you think serving it on the yeast cake, like if someone was using the same keg they fermented in to serve from, that could also be a factor for off flavors presenting themselves? Would you always transfer from a fermenting keg to a serving keg?
I would personally, but and I guess you could get some of that, but I'd be more concerned about Trub getting into the dip tube and getting into the beer. I would just rather move clean beer over into a clean sanitized keg.
Right. I was just thinking on the fly, like I didn't know. I mean, we are fortunate that all three of us, especially Todd, has a gazillion kegs at his disposal. I have just a little under that, as well as you, James. And so there is no lacking of kegs here where if I did ever ferment in a keg, I could always transfer to another keg for serving, no problem. What would you tell some people who want to ferment in a keg and serve from that keg? Like off the top of my head, you got to have a floating dip tube, or otherwise it's not really feasible to do it. Is there?
I always forget about the floating dip tube. Me personally, I wouldn't do it. And it's just too easy to move into another keg that's clean, because then you can't move the keg around. You can't take it with you, because then you stir all that up at the bottom. I would never do that.
And Todd,
I mean, to be fair though, James, the last time you did brew a lager, you drank the first 5 gallons out of your fermenters.
Yeah.
Did you really? That's funny.
Yeah, I sat in there for
He went to keg it for us, and there wasn't a keg.
That's fantastic. I see that on Facebook groups I'm a member of all the time, where people, they have a nice, like we use, I'm assuming that was on the Spike. If it was under pressure, it was part of the CF15, but you also have that really nice Blickman. Was it their first gen fermentator? I forget what it was.
Yeah. I want to say that thing was $1,400.
And
back in 2010.
I was gonna say it's every bit of
when I bought it.
Damn near 15 years old, and it's held up great. It's
too big. The lid's too big to even consider making it a pressure fermenter. It just.
Oh yeah.
So we talked to John about that when we interviewed him a few years back, and he gave us an ungodly number of pounds that's going that's against that lid. That if you did try to pressure ferment it, I want to say it was over a ton or something like that.
I believe it. But I see a lot of people who have pressure capable conicals that are like, I just use it as a bright tank now. I don't even keg. I just, they have their glycol on it.
I would. There's no reason to do. Because it's conical, so it all the nasty stuff goes down into the bottom, and generally goes into the
sample port,
the pipe that curves coming out where the valve is. It usually collects down on the bottom of that, and that's a 2-inch piece of tri-clamp pipe that's got a valve attached to it. So it works great as a pressure, like a bright tank.
And Todd's throwing you under the bus. He does that every batch.
It was meant as a joke.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
We all joked about how we were drinking all the beer out of the fermenters. So.
If it was more convenient for me to take samples from a Firmzilla, I would. And I say that it is convenient. I could hook up.
Yeah, it's got posts. You just need to disconnect with
my event faucet or the pitted valve. Yeah, you're right.
He meant to say if he wasn't so lazy.
That's what I absolutely meant to say. Yeah, you knew what I meant. Absolutely. If I wasn't so lazy. I think we about covered Bryce's question. I know. The process seems, straightforward with pressure fermentation, but even we had feedback last week, a buddy from Australia, Tim, I believe was his name, about the way he pressure transfers from the Firmzilla to the keg and vice versa. I think when you pay attention and take the little steps of making sure you're in that range, and Bryce, at 68, I've been told the rule of thumb is about 10 degrees above the highest that it says on there. And that you're safe. So if your yeast strain on the high end is 58, or pardon me, 58, then 68 should be fine without any issues. And then like James said, the little step of with the lager, and if you're at that higher temp of room temperature or whatever, adding the pressure upon pitching, like once you close that thing up, add the pressure then, that seems to do a good job of suppressing off flavors from manifesting themselves during fermentation.
I've never heard that, Josh. Say that again. So you're saying that you're only supposed to go 10 degrees higher? Yeah,
that's what Trong had told me. And then when I looked it up on Reddit, most people seem to agree on that on the threads I found, where that's like this. And again, though, at the end of the day, listen, guys, we are the foremost experts on all things you ever hear on the show. Don't get that twisted. But I don't ever know the science behind this stuff, and it scares me to ask sometimes because, like, well, how does pressure fermentation keep esters from forming? I don't know. I don't know the science. I don't know, but it does. Anecdotally, I can tell you from experience. And then when Tron was on talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of pressure fermentation, he kept he was telling me, and I forget it had to been on air, but we did talk a long time off air. Tron is a talker. He did mention it to me a number of times about how you can go 10 degrees above the higher end of the yeast strain's temperature range. So if, like, Imperial Dieter says that you could go up to 70 on that or whatever, then you would be okay pressure fermenting up to 80. As well.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that.
I've only ever done room temp.
Right. Yeah. In room temp
and I've
for
had
you,
great results with it. So.
Yeah. Oh, so in room temp for you would be above that 10 degree rule because you're doing lagers.
Because it'd be 70 degrees.
See, again, is the things that I hear rooted in objectivity or just anecdotal experience? I don't know, but there you go. Like James is a testament. A lager can be done. And room temp for you is what, 76, 75, 78?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, for you, James. Yeah. What is it there?
70. 70's room temp.
Oh, okay.
Not when you're fermenting in our office. We don't keep it that cold.
I think you do.
Well, fair enough. So anyway,
I'll just say.
Well, you're right, Todd.
Well, room temp. That's what I wasn't. I was asking mostly because my wife keeps our house at like 78, and so the room temp for me is like way too high to probably want to do a lager at. But if you're close down to 70, then that's not that far off from the 10 degree rule, anyways. And like you said,
I'm just as the guy that pays the AC bill. I'm just thinking. I hope we don't.
No. I think we should lower it down to the mid 60s. We should.
Plus, my wife's here. If she hears that, we'll be in big trouble.
Some of my favorite conversations are Liz chastising you for your spending habits sometimes.
Did you hear? She was in the background going, "It's cold in that office."
I actually one of the perks I have of this office I'm in now, it's about 145-ish square feet. I bought a mini split that is overkill. Before I was like, I'm going to do pressure fermentation on every batch. I was like, I want this office to be able to get down to ale range and hold it, even if we were brewing in the summer. Now, fortunately, thanks to the joys of pressure fermentation, I don't have to do that. But these mini splits are pretty efficient in regards to energy consumption and stuff. So it hasn't raised my bill considerably high when I do try to freeze this room out for the sake of fermenting in real temp. But again,
have you? Oh, sorry. I thought you. Have you pressure fermented in a keg, Josh?
No, not yet. No,
okay.
I haven't.
We've got to do that sometime. I've never tried it.
I agree. We've talked about doing that, and we talked about using, because in the ultimate keg accessory bundle, it has also the lid with an airlock, because there are people who do normal fermentations at appropriate temperature in a keg, and then they pressurize it for the sake of transferring to a serving keg or whatever. There's a lot of stuff we have potential with. And if you're one of those people who do that, let me know in the comments below if you're watching at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour, because that greatly helps the algorithm when you engage with us. Also, smash that like button, subscribe, all that stuff. Bryce, thank you so much for submitting that question. Moving on to question number 2. But first, a reminder, if you call and leave a voicemail like Bryce did to 325-305-6107, and I use it on a future episode, you get yourself a $25 gift card to ketconnection.com. However, if you text that same number or email joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com, you still get yourself a $15 gift card. Like our second question, it's our buddy Mike H., and he wrote, "Hey guys, I just finished using your beer line cleaning kit, which I have to say was super easy to use. After the soak, I ran hot water through the lines. Then finally at the end, I pushed air through the lines to clear out the water. My question, the beer I'm putting on tap won't be ready for another week. The now clean line is sitting in the kegerator cold, but it's empty. Is that the best way to leave it, or should I be concerned about mold? Thanks, Mike H." And he actually wrote, he does listen to the podcast, I found out. He actually used help@kegconnection.com to get the answer to that. I shared it with y'all, and I was like, I'm going to include it on the episode. And I told him, and I gave him his $15. Don't worry, I'm playing by the rules. But it's a good question, because You know, people, I don't know if we've talked about it a ton. We actually sell a gazillion, the literal amount, gazillion of these beer line cleaning kits every year. It is insane. If you go to Amazon and type in beer line cleaning kit, you're going to see our beer line cleaning kit right there first and foremost. It is wild how many we sell. But we don't get a ton of questions about them, Todd, on the podcast. And I'd like to maybe humble brag a little. I think it's because of the amount of time we spent on those instructions. We spent a lot of time on a written booklet as well as the video that we did. But it's a great question because not everyone's cleaning and then immediately serving. And also, when you are cleaning lines, what do you do, Todd, for ensuring you're not having just water sitting in the line to potentially create mold, or are you not concerned about that at all because the temperature or XYZ or whatever?
Well, he mentioned he blew the lines out. I mean, I think the best way to do it in an ideal situation, if you don't have the kegerator on, would be to open the door, open the faucets, take the disconnects off and let it just be completely open and dry out. A week with it on in a kegerator with a kegerator on, and say it's at 38 degrees, it's going to be fine.
Is that because it's not warm enough for bacteria to grow? What is?
Yeah, I mean, bacteria is not going to grow in water in a really cold fridge. I mean, all the times I've ever seen a bunch of mold, bacteria, that kind of stuff growing in beer lines, it's always been when somebody closed the door, turned it off, and left it for a period of time.
Oh, yeah. Remember? But
usually they also leave beer in it. And
yeah.
then it goes really bad.
It's real nasty. We've seen it.
You remember, James, I won't mention any names. We went to somebody's house to help them with their kegerator. And they had their beer lines in a keezer for like a year with beer in them.
Kinda.
His name starts with a Z and rhymes with back.
No. It was a doctor friend of ours.
Oh,
anyway,
no.
Oh, no. Yeah, doctor. Yeah.
Yeah, but so it was, but anyway, we just had to remove all the lines and all the components and replace everything.
Oh, I thought you were talking about our old buddy, Zach, who, remember, his fridge died, but he didn't do anything about it for a couple months.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess you didn't see that hazard.
I've seen them where you open the kegerator and the entire kegerator is just nothing but
black mold.
Yeah, black mold. And,
yeah, put your head in there and then die. Pushing the air. So my dad, when we're doing cleanings on our individual lines we're using for transfer or whatever, we run clean water through them. And if we have to do a brew clean soak and all that fun stuff, we use that pancake compressor in my garage and just, like, I guess I'm assuming Mike, and you know what? I do kind of remember, I think he sent me what he does. I think he uses CO2. Is there if you could pick between purging your lines with a compressor, an air compressor, or with CO2, I'm assuming, Todd, CO2 is always the way to go because that's killing what bacteria would use to grow?
I don't know. I mean, I would just
you just want dry lines.
I mean, plants. Yeah, I don't know. I would just clean them out, and if I was going to leave it for a long period of time unair conditioned, I would just make sure that you don't even have to blow them out with a compressor. Just open the faucets, take the ends off, let them drain, and let them air dry, and they should be fine.
Now, on towers, I'm not trying to drag it out, I promise. I'm just trying to extrapolate what I think we could get out of this question, too. I would imagine tower kind of configurations that don't have the air circulating up in their well might be a little bit more prone because the temperature fluctuation compared to the keg box itself versus what it is at the top of the tower, where like a teaser where you're drilled in even more of a direct draw to this cold source would probably be safer from bacteria over a week if there did happen to be water in the lines. Did that make sense? What I just said?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've never seen anybody put water in the lines and then have an issue. Plus, It's up in the tower, so you can't see the mold. if you can't see the mold, it's not there.
I like that. That's right. If you can't see it, what was that taste? I don't know, man. Close your eyes. James, when you do your beer line cleaning, do you even do you blow air through it, or do you? I mean, you're cleaning it and then immediately tapping, right?
Well, I clean it with soap and rinse it with water, and then I'm done.
Yeah, but then you're basically
he may not be immediately tapping, but it's cold.
Yeah,
he doesn't unplug it and let it all warm up.
Right.
So
that's the key to success there, Mike. Keep it cold and don't let it warm up. So anyways, Mike, thank you so much. Woo, we're flying through. I love it. We are ready for our third and our final question with one last reminder. If you text or email like Mike did, which is great, I love it. Thank you for the questions. We need them. You get yourself a $15 gift card to KegConnection.com. However, if you call it in to our hotline at 325-305-6107, and I use it on a future episode, which I probably will if it's a question that we haven't addressed at all, I'll absolutely take it. Then you get yourself a $25 gift card to KegConnection.com, like our last question of the show. It's a voicemail. It's our buddy Joel from Montana.
Hello there, happy homebrew. Nope. Got that wrong. Homebrew Happy Hour trio. I actually have just a quick question about how to sell your used or gently used brewing equipment, because Facebook apparently is reporting all of my sales and wants personal information. I'm assuming that means that they're going to count this as income taxable income. Anyway, so I'm trying to avoid that. If you guys have any suggestions, and also, does this also relate to my OnlyFans page money? Because I don't want to tell the government that I'm making money that way. So if you have any suggestions about either category, I would love to hear it. You guys have a good one.
Funny.
Talk to you later.
This
Bye.
is when I wanted to spoiler, onlyfans.com/homebrew happy hour. I told y'all, any platform /homebrew happy hour, you're going to see the ugliest bald naked man, but for only $2.99 a month. And there's a decimal there, 2.99. No, OnlyFans is the devil. But that is funny. First off, legal team is in my ear saying this is not financial advice, but if you're supposed to report certain things to your state or federal government, you probably should. I'm telling y'all that as someone who has been audited by the IRS before, in 2015. It was terrible. So selling equipment. Now, obviously, we're retailers. We have a different way. Todd, when you have used equipment that is still valuable, we are no strangers to actually putting it on KegConnection.com. We used to have a clearance section. Every now and then we bring it back up, where a bargain bin type thing, and put it there. But let's say you didn't have your own website. You started this company on eBay. Now, eBay, I imagine, will probably report your sales too. So what would you suggest for selling used equipment if you were a citizen who was trying to avoid the hassle of paperwork?
Well, you're the social media king. I think this seems like a question for you. I don't ever sell used equipment anywhere. Craigslist is what I would do. That's 100%. If you were especially trying to avoid, if you wanted to do cash only deal, meet me in a shady parking lot, 1 a.m. I'll give you the mineral water pack, and you give me the whatever it is. I can't drive around I keep taking back a bag every time I come up there, and I keep thinking, if I get pulled over, they're not going to believe me that this is a Topo Chico mineral pack. But anyways, I'm digressing. Craigslist, I've sold musical equipment. I've never sold brewing equipment, but I've sold musical and electronic equipment many a times. I haven't since COVID, to be fair. Not for any particular reason. I've just been a hoarder lately. After my mid-30s to present day, I've just decided to become a hoarder. But Craigslist is the surefire way for me to meet up with someone, get your cash, and everyone be happy. Because I didn't even know Facebook started requiring personal info. That's Venmo and PayPal now. If Todd, I do believe if you let me continue to pay you through Venmo, if it gets over a threshold, they're going to send you a 1099. Yeah. And I should probably, pay the IRS, because those $5 bets can add up.
That's right. That's meaningful personal income right there. All these platforms, and I'm assuming that they're doing this because of the threat of the federal government on them. And they would, right? I mean, it's not like they want to be snitches. I hope not. But
no, they're being. I mean, you are. I know you're required anything over $600 to send the form in. So I don't have any. I don't know anything about social media sites and how that works. But
yeah, well, Craigslist was the one that came to my mind because that's much more of a it's not a platform of e-commerce; it's a platform of community.
Yeah, I mean they don't ever get any money, so they don't have anything to report.
However, the alternative I would do, I see a lot of my friends not actually using Marketplace. They make a post on their Facebook that says, "Hey, I've got this Google Pixel 8 that I'm selling. Does anybody want it?" And then in the comments, their friend's aunt's cousin or whatever goes, "Oh, I've been looking for that phone, and okay, deal. Here's what I'll take for it." And then they organize. So you can still, because Craigslist, I haven't been on it probably since COVID. I don't know how if it's gotten even more weird. It's always been kind of a weird, shady site, but I've always had success selling music equipment through it. But if you're trying to get more maybe rational people or people that you can identify at the point of communication, maybe make a post about it on Facebook. I don't know. It is an interesting thought though, because I don't know of any platforms that exist solely for this. I do think Homebrew Talk used to have a used gear part on their forum, so maybe checking that. I'm pretty sure Reddit, the homebrewing subreddit, doesn't allow you to post things for sale, or they just told me that because they don't like me, but I think that that's the truth there. Homebrewtalk.com is where I would probably check after trying on social, because then at least, very warm leads if you do that. And then my final suggestion off the top of my head, and mostly for kegs, I don't know about other actual brewing equipment, garage sales. My dad sees kegs more than you would think at random garage sales and or estate sales. And that's a good place to offload them, or if you're shopping, to get a deal, because they're normally between like $30 and $40 used, where that's a very good price right now for a used keg if you can find it like that out in the wild. It may need a lot of cleaning or all that. James, when you were buying equipment, were you all buying it brand new for the Duster Brew House?
All of it was new.
So you didn't ever deal, and you didn't offload
that was
stuff.
2010. There wasn't a big network of used brewing equipment in 2010.
Yeah, especially in this area, right? Or the area you were at. Yeah, like, oh yeah, brewery down the street. This isn't related to home brewing, but I did see in the brewery subreddit, Todd, a depressing statistic that how flooded the market is with commercial brewing equipment, and how a lot of manufacturers that are stateside are shutting their doors, or they're having to. Oh
yeah, we saw it at the Craft Brewers Conference. I mean, you and I both heard that a lot at the Craft Brewers Conference, I think, and we actually went and talked to a customer, and they said, the reason we're so slow is all of our stuff's being sold for pennies, because all these brewers are shutting down and flooding the market. So I think we're going to see that. And I was going to say that, what James and I came from was, we used to, when we had to sell something used, we would run there was a little area in the newspaper that you would run an ad in.
Yeah, they had Thrifty Nickel Want ads.
Oh yeah, Thrifty Nickel and the Yellow Sheet. Wasn't it the Yellow Sheet or something was another one?
Oh,
so
no.
yeah, that's our experience, Josh. If I was selling homebrew equipment, I'd run an ad in the Thrifty Nickel.
When I had to sell stuff, I'm the bald one, but you're the old one, Todd. Golly, I didn't realize people used the newspaper for I guess that makes sense. And
you didn't put the ad in online, Josh. You had to call a phone number and say, "I would like to give you this, and I'm going to send you a check."
What was it per word? A nickel? What was the ad?
Yeah, 10 cents or a quarter. I don't remember now.
No, it was quarter.
Per word. or quarter per ad.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you just make it quick, bid sale, and then your address. And so you've got like a $3 ad. Anyways, the newspaper ad, I would, that's some nostalgia for you. Our audience, I would love to throw them all under the bus, but we actually have a wide spectrum of young to y'all's age, not old, the new prime. We have people all over the place. So I'd look forward to comments below how you would sell your brewing equipment in this era, preferably not in the wander years of the good times and, the parties. What's the Robert O'Keefe song? The something, and the party never ends. The road goes on forever and the party never ends. That's right. Yeah. Anyways, Joel from Montana, thank you so much. And again, any feedback that you have on this, we'd appreciate your comments at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour in this video's comment section below. If you're an audio only listener or a video watcher and you want to get some cash, you can email Joshua at Homebrew Happy Hour or text 325-305-6107 and get yourself a $15 gift card. But even better, call it in, leave it as a voicemail to 325-305-6107 and get yourself a $25 gift card. My friends, that is all I have for this week. I sincerely appreciate y'all's time. Not only did I do the small talk in record time, we did the show pretty quick and succinct. We got to the point.
We did.
I didn't drag it out.
That's actually good because I'm going to tell you right now, I couldn't make it the whole hour.
Don't tell us why. Just leave the mystery. Don't tell us why. Guys, thank y'all so much for your time. I'll talk to y'all later.
See ya.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com. You could click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or you could be Todd's best friend. You'd certainly be my best friend by leaving a voicemail to 325-305-6107 and getting yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. Thank you to our show sponsors like Muntons Malt, premium grains for a better brew day. If you aren't already brewing with Muntons, give them a try by joining our Trub Club at a recipe receiving level. For the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also, get a pack of Imperial yeast along with premium recipes from us when you join the Trub Club. So go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.